Welcome to the Tackling Tech podcast, powered by Dyknow. Join us as we tackle all things EdTech with insightful interviews, actionable tips, and strategies that you can implement in your school or district to make technology integration more effective. Whether you're a teacher, a tech coach, or a technology administrator, we're giving you an advantage in your role by sharing stories from people who are passionate about working with their peers and enhancing the learning experience with technology. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now let's tackle some tech.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tackling Tech, a podcast that shares stories about how you can build better collaboration in K-12 schools, and a show that is dedicated to putting a voice to remote learning. I am your host, Brett McGrath, Vice President of Marketing at Dyknow, and of course, I'm excited for today's conversation. Before we do that, make sure you stop what you're doing. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button. If you got a little time, leave us a review. Tell a friend. That's the best way you can support the show right now. We are just enjoying all of the great conversations and all of the amazing educators that have come into our network over the past couple weeks. There is a whole pipeline of conversations lined up, and we are so excited to continue to share stories that matter to you, that matter to K-12 right now. And our goal is that we hope you listen to these conversations and you can take at least one thing back for you to try and for you to get better in doing what you're doing, whether it's working on blended learning, teaching remotely, trying to figure out how all these moving pieces work together during this period from a leadership position. There's just been so many themes that have come out of these conversations. So we hope you're enjoying them. Make sure you check out the Dyknow YouTube page. Give us a subscribe on that. You're using video, we're using video, and a lot of what we're doing is coming out of there. Go check out the new Dyknow website. Check out all of our social channels. Give us that follow on those. We're just really excited to be continuing to create content that matters. Today's conversation definitely is more of that. And I just had a blast talking to Derek McCoy. Derek is a principal. He has so many good thoughts and good ideas regarding the need for relevant change, ideas and tips on change management, the importance of having PLNs, just having growth strategies, and building good culture at your school. So I hope you enjoy this one. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tackling Tech. I am really excited for today's conversation and today's guest. So I am here with Derek McCoy. Derek is a current middle school principal with over 20 years of experience. I thought it was cool. In 2014, he was announced the National Association of Secondary School Principals Digital Principal of the Year, which today, digital is more important than ever, so that was cool to be recognized back in 2014. He embraces his mission to create learning environments that serve learners and help adults change practice and beliefs and skill sets to meet the needs of schools. Derek, happy Friday. How are you today? Thanks for being on.
Hey, Brett, how you doing? It is a great Friday to have a great Friday. So today's going very well. Today is going very well.
That's great to hear. Maybe we can start by sharing with the audience. You're currently a principal. Maybe talk about where you're at, the type of school you're at, and everyone's operating differently in K-12 right now. So maybe give some context on the current situation at your school and district.
Very happy to share. This is my 10th year as a principal, but my first year here at North Asheboro Middle School and Asheboro City Schools. And we're in North Carolina. This is a great school. We're a Title I school. We have about 70% of our population is brown and Black students. Our staff is all about, and I inherited the staff. It's no work that I've done, but our staff is truly all about going out of their way to make sure the kids are loved, taken care of, loved. And I say love because they told me love. It's a great piece. But in terms of our instructional delivery, because of pandemic, the COVID-19, we are operating on what North Carolina has designated as Plan C, and that is students fully remote And for us, the teachers are here at the school, and we still have virtual meetings. We don't do face-to-face by any means. In 2 weeks, though, we will proceed to what North Carolina designates as Plan B, and that is half of our students 2 days a week, and the other half another 2 days of the week. And then we have a day of planning and professional development in that week.
That definitely a different type of model. There's change and adaptability that I'm sure goes into that sort of change in environment. You talk a lot about just change in everything that I've consumed in podcasts and reading some of your content. Change is all around K-12 right now. So maybe share some perspective on just change and the need for relevant change right now in K-12.
I think that is the key for leadership. And that is having a good perspective, a good understanding, a good model for change, leading change, managing the support and needs for the people around you with change. You know, if we were all going to stay in place and do absolutely nothing different and work to maintain things the way they were, then we wouldn't need leaders. We would just need managers. And then we probably wouldn't need managers. We would just need colleagues to be accountable for one another and to one another. But leaders lead because change is needed. And change is hard. Change is the only constant that we have, but change is hard. And then significant change, particularly change to something that we fundamentally believe or that we have fundamentally practiced for some years, it is significant. So right now, COVID has absolutely made us change how we're doing some things. So we get that part. But there's also an opportunity here for us to be reflective on the fact that we have had to change, and has all of that change been so bad? And then what can we hold on to make learning better for our students? I think that is a leader's obligation now to see what changes we have made in our schools and our learning environments, what needs to stick, what changes we need to make from our changes that will better benefit our learners. And then, you know, just being the support, the ear, the heart, the virtual hug these days for our people that need us while we are going through the change that's going on around us.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. And I think just to follow up on that is, how have you, as a change leader and someone that, you know, looks at change, understands how difficult it is, understands how important it is, how do you take the way you operate from a change perspective with all the change that teachers and students are going through COVID? How do you balance that? Are you trying to find opportunities to implement change? Are you just letting change happen as it goes and trying to take feedback and see what you can use to help make things better once things go back to normal? Maybe share some perspective there.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I share regularly with groups is, and we know this, change for the sake of change is tiring, it's exhausting, it's scary, it is, I don't know how beneficial it's often not beneficial. So change for the sake of change is something that we have to look out for and have to make sure that we're checking ourselves, you know, and no matter what position that we're in, you know, in the school building, principal, assistant principal, teachers in the classroom, change for the sake of change is a dangerous mindset or practice to be in. What I look for, though, and this is what you mentioned, what I look for, though, is what are the needs of our learners, either in the school, in the context of the world, in the context of their community, in their classrooms, in the hallways. What are the needs of our learners in order for them to thrive and have voice and have an opportunity to do some different things? As a school leader, our impetus has to be on constantly educating ourselves on what are critical aspects of student learning. So when I started teaching, I'll say this, when I started teaching, I didn't have the focus, or I'll even say the knowledge of having student voice like I do right now. Student voice and choice is critical right now in terms of learning. When I started teaching, I can't say that that was a priority or that I learned a lot about it. But now, as I learn more about different things, now I know it's critical for that to be the case, and that I need to lead those conversations. So I involve my critical stakeholders, our staff in awareness building for those initiatives. So in this case, like student voice and choice, okay? So we will build awareness, we'll lead some talks on what it is, and we'll hold some exemplars. And then we will come up with some ways that we can make that relevant, impactful in our school building. So constantly educating ourselves as leaders is critical. All of us should be committed to lifelong learning, and it does not matter who we are. But particularly for school leaders, as we are making schools relevant is real work. You know, committing yourselves to making schools relevant is real work. Committing ourselves to lifelong learning is the needed piece for us to make sure that learner-centered changes are occurring. And that's one thing that we write about in our book, The Revolution, the need for learner-centered environments. And the way that happens for the leader is not just to be aware or to lead an initiative, but to bring others about and collaborate on that fully. So that's an important piece.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's a lot to unpack there. So you mentioned your book, which I'd love to get into, The Revolution. The other thing I heard was just this trend and desire to focus in on personalized learning to meet the needs of students, because student voice and choice is more critical, important than ever. One of the things I heard you say on, I think, a different podcast was that you had a transformation when you started to think about your role and not think about it from a people management perspective, but from a relationship building perspective. So I think that to me resonated. And I think changing that mindset probably got you to certain areas quicker than it would if you didn't change that mentality. So I guess first, maybe talk about that shift you had, when it happened, and how that's kind of changed your perspective as a leader.
Absolutely. So as a teacher, I was always, I had a great principal as a middle school math teacher, right? She just kept having high expectations for me, kept pushing and kept allowing, you know. And then added to that, I have always been one to take the initiative and to try some different things. So when I became a leader, one of the things that I had to work out of was assuming that everybody thought like me or had experiences like me. Not everyone is comfortable taking risks. Not everyone is comfortable experimenting. And, you know, I did not have the evolved understanding of risk and failure that I do now back then by any means. I just know more about it now, and I embrace it now. But I didn't mind, you know, taking a shot, missing, and, you know, regrouping, trying some different things. But that is not the case for everyone. So for me, having the grace, having the understanding and acceptance for other people that they don't think like me, they have not had my experiences, that diversity is not just about color, but it's about experiences. It's about beliefs. It's about an acceptance of risk. It's about diversity is about just life. You know, everything you bring to the table, not just the color of the gender you bring to the table. So when I began embracing diversity in that sense, when I began embracing the people around me in that sense, and showing grace, showing more grace, showing more understanding, and giving some safe space, then we started seeing a whole lot more, and really a lot of pressure. I started taking a lot of pressure off of me, because I didn't go into I will go into a situation like, man, how come Brent isn't taking these risks? So what's going on, man? And so just taking that breath and slowing things down tremendously, and seeing where we are, and embracing a role as a coach has just been just a breath of fresh air and a revitalizer for me. I don't think school leaders get deep enough into our role as coach as we should. We come into this looking for a manager. We come into this looking for, I'm going to be a great decision maker. But, 9 times out of 10, it's the people that we have to worry. It's the people that are going to do it for us. And they need a coach. They need somebody who will sit down with them. What's the goal? Did you get what you want? What will you do different? Are you okay with that level of risk? Asking those critical questions. That's when we see the most and see the best. It is that piece right now that I'm really most excited about, particularly in these kinds of talks.
That's really good. I think for anybody out there listening in a school leadership position, or just a leader, any role, any leadership type of a role, probably 9 times out of 10, you are very, very high in ambition, and you are trying to change, you're trying to push people, you're trying to get better. And I think one thing I just share with the audience, because I think this translates into any role you're in, is make sure you take a note on what Derek said on slowing down. It's incredible when you slow down and start listening and understanding different perspectives, how that can inspire your own personal evolution in your role. That's something outside of K-12 in my role, that I have learned over time. And I think that's really, really good perspective.
It's counterintuitive. You think about it, and actually when you're living it, that when you slow down and really just start listening and embracing building the round table, the people at the table, when you slow down and make those efforts more intentional, stuff gets done a lot faster.
It's so true.
And at a deeper level, because otherwise, you come in as a hard charger. We all know those stereotypical visuals of that one strong leader who comes in and he or she does it all by him or herself. And those times when they've happened in history have always been the exception. It's the team that gets it done. It's the team that gets it done. And truly, if it is one person, when that person leaves, that school has a vacuum. Right now, we need culture shifts. One of the cultures we talk about in our school, we need a culture in our book, rather. We need a culture of collaboration. Where it's an expectation that it's going to be we, not I. So when we slow down and make it more intentional and look at more the nuances of the collaboration, we'll realize benefits of a long-term process, long-term payoff, I should say.
Yes, absolutely. And the culture of collaboration, I think, is something that's super powerful, and that segues into a topic I know that's important to you, and one that I've heard a lot of people on this podcast talk about, and that's just the importance of PLNs. Maybe touch on from your perspective, the importance of PLNs when generating and bringing new ideas to the table.
Of course. So Sylvia, let me encourage everyone out there to, if you are not following her, to please follow Sylvia Duckworth. She's an awesome visualizer. She She does great sketchnoting.
There we go.
Let me just change that word. So she has this great sketch note about her growth as a teacher when she joined Twitter. Please Google it, check it out, and then reach out to her. It's wonderful. You just see that truly marked my trajectory, my learning trajectory as an educator. I was on a great, I truly was on a great path. And then after years, you're going to plateau or dip a little bit. It's naturally going to happen. The saving grace for me was my good friend Brian Setzer and Don Lorsey helping us get connected on Twitter and building our PLN through Twitter. And my growth, my thinking, my belief, expanding my beliefs, Brett, it exponentially grew. Not slightly grew, exponentially grew. I am a changed man, changed educator because of my time building up my PLN. I met, through my professional learning network, I met educators who thought like me, and we changed our thinking together because we committed to conversations with other people. I connected with other leaders I connected with other leaders who, just point blank said, Derek, why are you doing that? Why are you even doing this? And it made sense. It makes it, what their challenge to me made a lot of sense. So seeing the place, and I give you one concrete example, seeing and reevaluating the place of the student in the classroom, and in terms of empowerment, solely because of my professional learning network. I couldn't read enough books. I couldn't go to enough conferences to change that. PLN building is about making connections. Some of my best good friends right now are from my PLN. I'm not wearing one today, but I rock my bow ties because of my PLN. And my accomplishments only happen because of my professional learning network. It's not about the number of followers. It is about changing your thinking. It's about your learning. It's about changing your thinking, changing what you believe and what you can do. Whether you try it or not, you will have support from your PLN in getting the desired results that you want in what time frame. And that's it. That's the piece. So when I talk about building the PLN, Twitter was my primary. Twitter is my go-to, but there are Facebook groups now that do very similar things. Voxer is another big one. Voxer is a great one, as a matter of fact. They're just lively, ongoing, real discussions every day on Voxer. People connecting and joining different groups and just having conversation and just keeping the conversation moving. It is fantastic. That is a piece where when we think about school leadership 50 years ago versus now, truly we're at a different point, because it was less about, well, that's your school, close your door and run your school. Now it's about, what support do we need to continuously give you? My good friend Jethro Jones, so he's a principal coach now, and he talks regularly about the need for principals, for school leaders to just be able to talk some stuff out, debrief. And it's not even about giving answers. It really is just about listening, debriefing, because most times we know what we need to do. I have a good friend, Melada Hill, who has a saying, there are very few hard decisions to make. Teacher, principal, doesn't matter your role. There are very few hard decisions to make. Should I move my desk? Should I take my desk out of my room? Should I do this? Whatever. There are very few hard decisions to make. There are hard conversations. That's the part. So when you frame it like that, when you think about support in terms of conversations versus decision making, your PLN plays that critical role. PLN can play that critical role. So yeah, I just, as much as I can, I encourage any and everybody to be to join a professional learning network. Twitter is a great one. I have run Twitter chats. We have great discussions. You can find a topic that will help your school.
Yeah, the tools are out there to connect. They're free. Using them is kind of they're free. And I have found too, it's like, even doing this and having conversations on the podcast like this, it's like half the battle is just taking the initiative to reach out to someone and say, hey, I love what you're doing on Twitter. Like, would you mind sharing some perspective? And 9 times out of 10, those individuals want to help and they want to share. So that's what I would encourage the audience, and what I heard you say. Like, the tools, they're out there, they're free, it's easy to connect. Everyone wants to help for the most part. Just be proactive and do it.
I have yet to hear of anybody saying, I reached out to this person and they refused to help me.
Right.
And this is my 11th year on Twitter. It just doesn't happen. It does not. Refusal, that's not what this is about. And you know what's surprising is the number of educators on Twitter or social media is still very low, because we still think of it in the old mindset of, it's a dangerous place to be, or I don't have a big number of followers. And it's not even like that.
Absolutely. So we've talked about a lot. We talked about change. We talked about kind of a personalized connection and understanding your students' needs and diversity, PLN building. Covered a lot of ground. I want to just ask, maybe just in closing, like, with all of this change happening around educators everywhere, it's going to continue to be uncertain, in the coming months. What kind of perspective can you share with the audience that's maybe helped you operate more efficiently and effectively during this period of time that people should start maybe considering as they're thinking about their day-to-day?
So this is exactly a talk that I gave. Well, this topic is exactly a talk that I gave a little while ago, and it really helps me with perspective now. And when we eventually get out of COVID, get out of this whole situation. So when all this first went down, February, March, right? Stuff started closing down. What were the big things that school districts did to take care of kids? What were the priority areas? For me, what I saw this country dive into was, are kids fed? Are they taken care of? Are our kids physically and emotionally okay? So we started calling kids. We started doing all this kind of stuff. We wanted to make sure that our kids were loved. That is a realization that I really would like for educators to just keep in mind, keep in the forefront as they move forward. When it comes down to it, we know what the most important thing is. Are we acting on it and like it every day? And then I extend that further. Even when we started trying to give work out in the spring, right? So a lot of us were giving out packets of paper, packets of worksheets and stuff to give the kids, right? Most of that stuff wasn't even graded. We didn't care about grades. You had teachers just getting on video chats some kind of way with kids and reading books. Just connecting with, hey, check out these cool science experiments that we're going to be doing today. At the heart, we know what the most important thing is in education. At the heart, we know what it is. It goes back to that no tough decisions, but just tough conversations. So it's not even a decision or any work to figure out what the most important thing is. But the tough conversation comes in is what you're doing every day, reflecting on what you know is the most important thing to do. So I got fortunate in the school where I where I work now, where we have family here now, they believe that. And we go all out taking care of kids. Make that part of your operational schema moving forward, the things that you're considering while we're here right now in 2020. What's the most important thing? And then work everything else around that. That helps me with my sanity. It helps me sleep just extremely well at night. There is no question that our kids are taken care of and loved. We were on a parent conference the other day, and I asked the child, I said, "Do you feel comfortable talking to any of your teachers?" He said, "Oh yeah, I'm good." Not even a question. That's the most important part. Embrace. Go back to the most important part. Embrace it, and we'll never go wrong.
A lot of good opinions and takes there from Derek. Before I let you go, let people know where they can find you online, on Twitter specifically, since you touched on that, and then where people can find your book. Excellent. Or books.
Thanks so much. So yes, please, primary method of contact, and I love connecting with people on Twitter. I am at McCoy Derek. McCoyDerek, at McCoy Derek. That's how you can find me on Twitter. That's how you can find me on LinkedIn. That's how you can find me on the gram. Follow me on the gram. I follow back. And so for my PLN building is primarily Twitter and LinkedIn. And then I'm in some Facebook groups. On Instagram, Facebook, you just see a lot of personal stuff, but it's all about connection, so it's all good. I have a website, McCoyDerek.com is my blog site and my website. And you see my books and some of my work there. If you'd like to book me to speak for some engagements or to do some trainings, you see a list of my trainings, and you see a way to get in contact with me there as well. And our book is on Amazon. It's called The Revolution. It's Time to Empower Change in Our Schools. Now, Carth and I set out to write a middle school book, but it was just a bigger message. So we show a lot of middle school love, don't get us wrong. But we talk about the revolution that needs to occur in K-12. And that's The Revolution. It's Time to Empower Change in Our Schools.
Go check it out. Go connect with him online. I'm sure you'll learn a ton. I learned a ton today here. Derek, thanks so much for your time. Talk to you again real soon.
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
Wow, that was a great conversation. I learned so much. Change is definitely hard, and it's good to hear from change agents like Derek McCoy. There was a ton of awesome nuggets in there. Go give him a follow. Go give us a follow. Hit that subscribe button. Take it easy. Take care of yourself. Take care of others around you. And we'll talk to you real soon.